More than 1 million people have been purged from the Texas voter rolls over the past 3 years under new state election laws. In a news release, the governor said thousands of those people were possible non-citizens.
The release does not say there's evidence of fraud, but those non-citizen cases are being investigated further. The House Elections Committee got an update from the Secretary of State's office this morning, and Fox 4's Stephen Dial has all the details.
The recent focus on election integrity has been happening since 2020 and from mostly Republican-led states. Now, with the information that Governor Abbott released of ineligible voters being purged, there's still been no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
As we get closer to the November election, Texas Republican leaders are putting more focus on who is eligible to vote and how county offices are purging their voter rolls.
This is just about confidence. I'm not calling anybody a fraud doer or fraud feeser or election stealer or anything like that. It's about public confidence, because if people don't think their vote counts, they may not show up to vote because they don't think it matters.
The issue keeps re-emerging, even though audits of 4 major counties found no evidence of widespread voter fraud. Although Harris County has been criticized for poor oversight and record management. Statewide, Texas has more than 17 million registered voters. Governor Abbott says more than 1 million people have been purged from the state voter rolls since 2021, when new laws on voting security took effect. Abbott highlighted some categories, including 6,500 potential non-citizens who were purged from the rolls. Of that, about 1,900 had a voter history, and those cases will be investigated further. Nothing in Abbott's new release indicates evidence of voting fraud so far. The vast majority of other cases are people who died or who ended up on the suspense list, which commonly happens when voters move without notifying their county registrar. Christina Adkins, the state elections director, says her office notifies county election officials on a regular basis about the status of potential non-citizens.
We are sending them data, and it is resulting in cancellation of records.
Since 2021, she says her office has received real-time information from the Department of Public Safety when a non-citizen alerts the state of their status at a location like the DMV. Election officials in North Texas told me purging rolls is a weekly activity for their offices, and pressure from public activists have skyrocketed. Collin County has received about 10,000 challenges since April to purge the rolls for different reasons. That's double the number they saw in 2020. Bruce Sherbert, the county election administrator, told me his office has already taken action on about 80% of those cases prior to the challenge being filed. It's a similar situation in neighboring Denton County, with more than 17,000 challenges in recent months.
One of the most important things that I think that we can do in this area is to highlight the work that the counties have been doing. Texas is very good at list maintenance activities. We have strong, clean voter rolls.
Democrat State Representative Eddie Morales of Eagle Pass asked if there's any fact in recent claims that large numbers of immigrants are being registered to vote.
This is after a number of migrant surges that we've had on the Texas border. And so I'm trying to make sure that there's been no anomaly or, let's say, an increase or a peak in non-citizens actually registering.
We look at that data pretty regularly to look for potential issues or anomalies. We have not seen any unusual activity. Everything has been consistent with what it has been for the last few years.
Now, from that hearing, there was some discussion from lawmakers about possible legislation that would make it a requirement that all counties use the state election system. Some of the larger counties use third-party vendors to help with some of their data. This does not mean the state does not have access to those counties' data, but the state says they are rolling out a new system in 2025, so we could see a bill pop up next year. In Dallas, Stephen Dial, Fox 4 News.